Dave, you often talk about how you can kind of separate yourself from the manager and the fan in different moments. With Shohei Ohtani taking the mound today, his first postseason as a starter, or as a pitcher, I should say, when you look at just kind of this moment, what he's done for this team, how special is this for a player like him, and how do you kind of take a step back to appreciate that moment, also knowing as the competitor and wanting to kind of win, of course?
Yeah, I think, as he takes the mound for the bottom half, I'm going to take a moment just to appreciate, him doing something really unprecedented. He's done a tremendous deal for our ball club on a micro level, obviously with the talent, the two-way player, but much more broad for baseball. He's just a player that people have to see, want to go see. So it's just been so, a huge benefit to our game, which is great.
Considering this will be a first experience for him, he talked yesterday about there might be some nerves, an uptick in velocity. Do you think just last year as a DH in the postseason, and even if you look at the wild card, that as a position player can prepare him as a starter in this game?
I think, I just believe that his whole life has been about preparing him for big moments. And he never gets out of himself, never lets the emotions or the moment get too big. Seems like he's always under control. He's obviously got a very precise routine. So I expect him to perform well in the box, on the mound, and just control those emotions. But, having him get through the sixth inning in Arizona, so as far as kind of usage, I feel good where he's at.
Yeah, Dave, is Will Smith an option to start this series, and how close is he to that point where you feel comfortable catching him for 9 innings?
He's close. With Will, we just haven't had the chance to do the build-up as far as the rehab, the catching 5 innings, the 6 innings, the 7s, let alone the 9 innings. And he hasn't caught in, 4 weeks. So, yeah, you're going to have to – I'm trying to find a jumping-off point that would kind of play the middle, the slice. So there's a chance that he can come into tonight's game and kind of, get his feet wet a little bit. So, but yeah, he's close, Fabian. I just don't know when, but he's very close, yes.
And then obviously you kind of said that Kershaw was going to be on the roster, but what sort of went into some of the other decisions, putting Bonda on, taking Wroblewski and Henriquez off?
Well, with Henriquez, it was a little bit easier in the sense of the way they construct their lineup. It's heavy left. You got Glass in the pen for this game. We got some other right-handers. It's a lot of left-handed lanes. I think with Robo was really difficult because he's performed so well, and I can't really justify it, to be honest with you. I think that we just wanted Clayton. Clayton's earned the opportunity to be on this roster. I'm going to use him accordingly. And then also with Bonda, just kind of his skill set is to really, take down left-hand hitters. So specifically. So that was kind of the thought on both those guys.
Dave, with the Phillies' rotation being so lefty-heavy, how do you envision Max Muncy's playing time shaking out?
So, tonight he's a silver bullet. I can deploy him whenever I want in a leverage spot, which I think is of benefit. Not sure. I talked to Max before this series and said that we obviously knew what we were coming into, and he is adamant that whatever it takes to help this team win. And, there could be a big spot at any point that could kind of change the game. So he'll be ready when called upon, but I really can't speak to when he's going to start, if he's going to start, because also, Miggy Rowe's been great too against left-handed pitching. So I see him getting a start as well.
And how is Tommy's ankle holding up now? And how do you see his playing time also this series?
I think it's holding up, not getting any worse, not getting much better. I feel that having him start taking a few at-bats each night against the starter is a benefit to us. And then I'll kind of keep an eye on him as the game progresses if we need to get him off his feet to get him ready for the next one.
Dave, what are the challenges of just facing as much left-handed pitching as you guys probably will this series?
I wouldn't say they're talented. That's the main challenge, that they're really good. The good thing is that the guys that play get the same look, essentially. The downside is, not being able to run Max out there as much as I probably would like. But again, in the postseason, I'm trying to go with the best, 9 guys to start the game, and then each guy should and might have an opportunity to help us win a ball game that particular night. But, I guess, Jack, these guys are just really talented guys.
And then with your left-handed relievers, like how much do you think some of them learned having faced these guys a couple weeks ago and just, obviously seeing how dangerous they can be?
We learned a lot. You learn that you have to make pitches. You can't. You got to sequence the right way. Yeah, I mean they're good, and they're certainly a momentum team when they get momentum. Certainly in this ballpark, but you got to make pitches. They're aggressive early, and I guess it goes both ways because we got some good hitters too, and we just got to make pitches.
You referenced the talent. I was going to ask you, separate from that, is there a character trait or two that comes to mind about this team beyond the talent that makes them go as well as they have this year?
I think obviously, Harper on the broader kind of city of Philly and kind of, wrapping his arms around the city and vice versa. But I think, inside the clubhouse, you can see it pretty clear that Schwarber's kind of toughness, they feed off that. Yeah, I mean, and again, they pitch really well. But I think those 2 guys are sort of the heartbeat of that club. But I don't know much.
Hi, Dave. So you're gonna using 12 pitchers for 5-game series. Do you feel comfortable about it? And then you didn't using Haesung last series, and how do you gonna utilize him in this series?
Well, we're going with the 12 because the off days in between the games, we have to carry 3 catchers because of where Will's at. Obviously, with Tommy's uncertainty, Max coming back recently, having the extra infielder Haesung is huge. And as far as how I'm going to use him, to run off the bench, to potentially taking it bat off the bench, but there's a lot of lefties in that lineup, and so. But Haesung, it's good to have him on the roster, and I feel he's going to help us out at some point.
Okay, we're going to go. Dave, you mentioned the starters potentially pitching in relief. It's something you've done before a little bit in the postseason. Are there some general risks or concerns, or maybe you have to treat those guys different than a regular reliever when you do that?
I think that. What I have learned is you've just got to just rip the Band-Aid off. And I think that there's always uncertainties, but I've learned you make a decision, you live with it. I'm going to go with the best talent who's ever available that night, if it makes sense. Roki was a starter his whole life, and he's come out of the pen and pitched fine. We did it years ago with other pitchers, and other teams have done it. We got beat in 18 because, AC ran a bunch of starters at us. So it can happen. There's no guarantee. So you just got to kind of have conviction and, bet on the guys that you're going to run out there.
Hi, Dave. We've talked about Will Smith in the past, and obviously there's always a balance to strike with, how much he's catching, and, he prefers to catch even the DH, which is no longer an option. And so I just wonder, with the year that he has had, where, obviously the hitting was even better than it's been the last couple, how much harder did it make for you to not play him from day to day? And so how do you figure that out for your starting catcher now and going forward with Will, once he's healthy again?
I think once he's healthy, it's easy because of the off days in the postseason. The balance is in the regular season getting him to the end of the year, the finish line. And so a lot of conversation with Will trying to figure out what's best for him. And obviously we had Dalton Rushing cut his teeth this year. which was very helpful for him and his growth. But I think once we get Will back and feeling good, we're just going to let him run.